And we are live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to No Code North, and we're in the lodge. Once again, here to today introduce you to Humblytics, which is a Canadian product. Amir and his co-founder Max live in Toronto, usually, although Amir's not in Toronto today. And they've built a Webflow-specific app to help track visits to your website, clicks, and all of that. And today he's going to take us through how the app works, how you can install it, how you can get the information from it, and how it can make life easier for you. So I am going to introduce Amir. And Amir, tell us where you are right now.
Yeah, I'm actually in Southeast Asia in Bali right now, coming to you live, 13 hours ahead from the Eastern time zone. So yeah, excited to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so how do you want to do this? You want to just share your screen and get going, and then
yeah, for sure. I'll maybe do a quick intro, kind of who I am, and,
please do.
Maybe a quick backstory of like why we're doing Humblytics. So I actually had an agency a couple years back in 2018, and we were building a lot of Webflow sites for our clients. And one of the biggest asks we always got was, one, how can you make it easy for us to look at the data within Google Analytics so that we can see what actually matters? And more importantly, we'd like to, for an easy way to be able to track clicks and form submission rates without having to have any developer dependency to get a sense of what people are clicking on and not having to install Google Tag Manager or install custom data layers to get that data. And that was, at that time, we didn't really think of any way to solve for it except by just doing the work, installing Google Tag Manager, having Google Analytics. And, when you're managing 50 sites, every single site is a little bit different. You're going to have to keep a record of where you have Tag Manager installed, what data layers you're using, and what sort of data you're passing through as well. And it wasn't until last May we decided, you know what, we should probably build a product for this at this point. And we actually built an MVP in early 2020 for ourselves, and didn't really commercialize it or kind of release it for our public until 2 years later. Or 2-3 years later. So what I'm going to show you today is Humblytics, and what I'm going to do is actually take a step back and walk through kind of the process as to how you get started, what it's like to actually create an account and start tracking everything you want within the app itself. So it's built specifically for Webflow. We are going to be coming up with a Framer integration in the coming weeks, but for now, it's really built around Webflow, and we're utilizing both the API and authentication to use its best capabilities when it comes to CMS and form submissions. So you're going to go ahead and just log in with Webflow. Once you've done that, you're going to authorize your account. You can either select individual sites or an entire workspace. If you have multiple workspaces, you're going to you're required to reauthorize multiple times. So say, for example, if I want to do this workspace or this one, you're going to have to do it twice. And then once you've authorized that, losing my voice, you're going to be prompted with a screen where you're required to embed a script. So similar to how you install Google Analytics, you just copy the script into your header, put it in your Webflow site, and publish it. I've already done that, so I'll skip the step. Once you've added your script, you're going to see all the sites that you have connected to your account. So whether, you're going to have to go through each individual site that you've selected within your Webflow account and go install that script and ensure that it's tracking. So in this case, for this example, let's just say I want to look at no-code jobs. I have the script installed and showing that's connected. From there, I'm going to go ahead and click on Open Analytics. And here, we really want to make it easy for you to see how many active visitors you have, what form submissions look like, and how many clicks you got within that time period. And then I'll go through CMS forms and clicks as well. So in this case, you can get the general analytics around unique visitors you had, page views, where your top referrals are coming from, the UTM sources, if you're running any campaigns or using a UTM link. You can see top locations and top devices. And it's a very simple analytics. kind of tool. And it's been designed that way to really just separate the noise from the signal, and we want to give you only the signal that actually matters. And you can filter by dates, so last 90 days, last month, last 12 months, and get essentially the data that you're looking for. Now, where it gets really interesting is when we look at, for example, clicks. Say, for example, you want to see your last 12 months. So you can see what the most clicked items or buttons are on your site. So you can see by the last time they were clicked, the conversion rate based on the actual total visits you got and the total clicks you got, the total number of clicks, and the top referring traffic as well. And then, yeah, so that really just automates that whole process where you've now just used one simple script to install, and now we're automatically tracking all those clicks within the site. Now, if you want to actually give unique values to each button, you can also do that as well. So in some cases, you want to say, okay, I have 2 buttons. I have, let's just say, for example, a get started CTA on the nav and a get started on the hero section. You can actually add custom attributes to give that unique name to it, so you can clearly see on your dashboard what that looks like. So we break it down by page and the button clicks as well, and it really gives you just straightforward data that you need to actually know, and you don't have to kind of go through multiple pages within Google Analytics or set up data layers to do that. Other features and capabilities that we have is also the CMS. With the CMS, you're able to get a sense of what the average scroll depth looks like, and how many views and what bounce rates. So we separate it based on the collections that you have. So say, for example, I have a resources section, and in this collection, I want to see what the average scroll depth looks like across each individual CMS item, how far down they've scrolled, the session length, and then also the top referring traffic as well. So you can really use this data to see what kind of content resonates with your audience and double down on improving that content, whether it's adding more keywords or making it more enticing. Or in contrast, you can look at what's not performing well and what you can do to improve the readability for it. The last section is the forms. So with forms, you're able to actually, if you're having a landing page or that's a lead funnel and you want to get a sense of how it's converting, you can look at forms and look at what the conversion rate for that form looks like, again, based on the total number of views or visitors that we got and the total submissions, and see how that conversion rate is tracking across whatever target you have set. You can also take a look at the top referring traffic and the last submission. So really what we want to do is not only give you analytics or data that you would normally see within any analytics tool, but we really catered it for Webflow specifically, and Framer soon, but for Webflow specifically around both clicks for conversion rate purposes, form submissions, and how those are converting, and more importantly, the type of content that actually resonates with you within your CMS collections. This is a new feature we recently launched as well, and this kind of aligns with the paradigm around us wanting to become a more conversion focused tool, which is the optimized tool. And this essentially enables you to be able to actually run experiments for your site to get a sense of what is converting, and what you can run essentially variant tests for one page for another, and see what's converting better. I'm actually in the wrong account, so what I'll do is log out and show you an example of what that conversion looks like. Just give me a sec. Any questions in the meantime? Nope. Okay. Silence is always, in my books, is always golden. So
I actually do have a question.
Sure.
When you say separating signal from noise, does that mean all of the information comes in, or what is it that's sort of different from looking at those analytics, say through Google Analytics?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So when I made the reference around signal versus noise, we're collecting all the information that we think is necessary when you're looking at tracking performance or conversions. It's just more so the presentation layer as to how we present it to you. And personally, looking at Google Analytics, I got a little bit overwhelmed with
That's very true. It can be a little bit much when you're looking at all that data that they provide for you. Okay, it's not me then. I'm seeing Dale move. Amir, we've lost you for a moment here. That overseas connection.
Yeah, at least video, but obviously audio too.
Yeah.
Maybe he's on the beach.
Okay, he's turning off his camera, so. Or he's right there. Oh no! Oh no! Jeremy, maybe you want to pause the StreamYard, the streaming for a moment. Well, I don't know. I don't. You know what? You probably can't actually. It's probably me ended, and then we'd be all like, "Well, that was a really great workshop."
I mean, that was a good question, by the way.
Yeah, well, because I mean, analytics, Google Analytics, especially now GA4. I've been trying to learn GA4 for 2 years, and I don't put enough effort into it, so I'm always lost in it. And it's like there's so much data that the average person just their eyes glaze over, right? I mean, that's one of the issues with it is that it's like figuring out what do you really need to know, and they've made it so complex now to find out.
Yeah.
It's getting better. Like each time I go in or each time I get a video from the guy I'm trying to learn from, there's like, okay, so they've improved this over here now. Now you can get this data more easily. But boy, oh boy, it is like truly makes your eyes cross. So, hello.
Welcome back.
Hey. So, right. We were just saying.
Do a demo, lose a sale. Like anytime you do a demo,
yeah.
You always lose a sale.
Yeah, right, exactly. Amir, what I might suggest is if you turn off your camera, that might sort of put a little less pressure on your connection there. So in case anybody came in later and missed this, Amir is in a much warmer place than the rest of us now. So. All right.
Yeah, so where we left off, I think we talked about split testing and how you can run variant tests to test or experiment what performs better. So say, for example, we ran a split test on our homepage looking at 2 different variations of copy and looked at how one would perform versus another. So an example was we had one variation which was simple privacy analytics for Webflow, and the other one was track custom clicks and increase form submissions. And these 2 variants, and we made some changes to the CTAs as well, but we wanted to test to see how the split test would impact conversions. And this was variant 1 on this side, and then variant 2 on this side, and redirected traffic to both. And from there, we were able to kind of devise which one had a higher conversion rate across clicks, bounce rates, session length, and scroll depth, and actual page views as well. So in this case, the unique visitors were higher for the second variant. So there is a higher conversion rate. If we were to run the test a little bit longer, we were able to get a sense exactly on which variant is actually the best performing one. But early indications led us to think that the second variant was actually a higher converting version than the first one. So this is really effective for a lot of freelancers or agencies working with their clients looking to improve conversions on specific sites, on marketing pages, or on landing pages that are very sales focused or lead funnel focused. And I can also see a breakdown of the number of button clicks and conversion rates based on each different variant. So for example, more people clicked on pricing in the second variant than the first one, even though this one had a little bit more traffic. Yeah, so this experimentation tool is relatively new. We're still in the beta phase and testing it, but it's been really proven to be really effective with a lot of clients that have been using it to improve conversions for their sites. That kind of covers the tool. The floor is open for any more questions or comments.
I have. Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah. So what you would have to do is create a new experiment. You would copy the script, name your experiment whatever you want to call it. So say for example CTA variants, and then you would choose how you want to randomize the session. So session level randomization is basically each visit is independent, and a user may come back to your page and see version 1, 2, 2, 1. It's completely random. And then the second version is user level randomization, where they're going to see the exact same thing. So if John came to the site, they would see version 1, and if Bob 2 came to the site, they would see version 2, and it will keep seeing that same loop. How we do the variant setup is by having individual pages you've created in Webflow yourself, and you would provide that URL in here. So what I would do is go to Webflow and actually create that page variant, and then provide that URL in here. So let's say, for example, in this case, I would duplicate the page that I want to variant test, make that change, and then publish it to staging, and then give that URL or serve that URL back in Humblytics itself. Did that answer your question? Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so this was the winner, the winning homepage. That's currently in the default right now, but the site. Sorry, this was the winning homepage that was a higher converting site. If it loads, it's gonna get off video. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, there we go. And then this was the variant that we tested for. And I would just give that URL to, I put that in Humblytics. 1 second, once it loads. There you go. So you can see there's 2 differences in the copy. And I would just put that URL in here. So variant A and variant B, and that was another experiment. What we're working towards also is we're launching a designer extension, and with the designer extension, we're going to actually have on-page variant testing, where you can select individual elements that you want to test for, and you don't have to actually create 2 different pages within Webflow itself. We would automatically just serve different elements based on whatever you selected on that single page. We're going to give users both options. Some people want to do entire page variants, and others just want to do element variants. That's going to come with our designer extension launch. And then one sneak peek, I guess, preview is, this was built relatively quickly as an MVP to kind of validate the product and the need. But we've been working behind the scenes on a newer version of the site, and it's going to be completely enhanced in terms of experience, usability, and the data that you see. So you're going to get more insight into all the pages that are getting traffic. You're going to get a sense of what entry pages look like, exit pages. You're going to see a live feed of all the activity that's happening on your site in real time. So what people are clicking on, what forms are being submitted. We're going to give you more data around sources and locations, and just overall more enhanced and cohesive data around all your CMS and form submissions. So this is in the works and will be out soon.
So you've said that it's privacy focused. How do you track all of that? I mean, are you placing a cookie on the site? On the person's computer? How do you track all of that and keep it privacy focused?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So actually, we are privacy focused because of just how one on the fact that we don't actually require you to use a cookie, because we're not storing the data in cookie. We use a hack, and I can kind of share a link later on that's a lot more detailed as to how we do that process. But essentially, we alleviate the need for having to have a cookie banner. The only caveat is we are not fully GDPR compliant, mainly because of just how and where we're storing the data. And that's something on our radar that we're probably going to do in the coming months, where we're just going to probably, spin up a server in EU and work with the right partners to get that first guy for GDPR compliance. Penny, you're on mute if you're talking.
Thanks. With the split testing, are you? It's up to them or whoever is sharing those URLs to be using the URLs that are created. There isn't sort of like an automatic. When the person comes to the page, it's a chance as to which one they're going to get. You actually have to publish the URL somewhere and direct traffic to that page.
Exactly. You still have to publish the URLs. How we serve it is you have two choices. You can do session level or user level, where session level is independent of who's coming, and they may see different versions of the site. Whereas user level is that specific user that visited the site and got served variant A will always see variant A. But you have to create two different pages. I mentioned earlier, we are working on a designer extension where we will take out the need for different pages. So you can only have one page. And instead it will just enable you to actually have different variants on page, and we'll serve that. So, you just click on an element and make a variant of that specific element, like a hero text, but it'll still be one page, and then we'll just see different versions of that.
Right. So this is not meant to be a challenge. It's like, how do you, if you're sharing, say, a link in an ad, and then you have a different link in a different ad, how do you know that it's, I suppose, random enough that you can trust the data, as opposed to where you're sharing those links, where certain people who find it in a certain place might react to something on a page differently than somebody else in another place with a different link. Does that make any sense at all?
I think no, you would always share just that one link. You would share the original link, and once they hit the page, then the algorithm will decide whether they want to show them variant A or B. So yeah.
Okay.
So if it's like humblytics.com/home, and then my variant is /home B, I would just need to share the first link, and then the algo will decide whether or not it wants to show the first one or the second one. So it's not going to be different.
Okay. Great. That was the part I wasn't sure about. It was like, which, how do we know which page we're showing them? So
yeah,
okay,
I
cool.
think
you're right.
Yeah. And Penny, I think like that would be like if you gave different people different links, you would still like use Humblytics, but then you would just look at the page insights separately, right? Because then you'd be like, okay, I gave this link to this group of people and I gave this link to this group of people, so let me compare the two pages.
Right. So I also noticed, Amir, when you were you were on the Humblytics site, and I was noticing it earlier, there's a UTM builder. So how do you use that in gathering that information and then comparing it to what, say, the A/B testing is showing you, or how would somebody use that to get that information from Humblytics?
The UTM tool is just a micro tool we built for some of our users that run ad campaigns and want to see that UTM data within the dashboard. So it's just, I use that myself to, build quick UTM links and see that data within a dashboard itself. So, we ran a campaign and I created a UTM link for NCI campaign. And it's so it's there. So it's just more of a micro tool for anyone that wants to use something like that.
Right. So just in case there's anybody who doesn't understand UTMs, and there may be, because sometimes, people are newer to using a tool like Webflow and they haven't worked a lot with Google Analytics, they may not understand what the UTM code does. So can you explain that a little bit further as to why you would use it, what you need to do to set it up?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the best way to look at that is, say, for example, you are running multiple ad campaigns across different sources. So you're running ads on Twitter, you're running ads on Instagram and Facebook, and you want to have a clear way of seeing where that traffic is coming from in your analytics. UTM, you can utilize UTM to be able to essentially differentiate that traffic. So it's, if you want to get technical, it's called the urchin tracking module, which lets you define the source, the medium, the campaign, and various other different parameters. But really, the ones that matter are campaign, source, and term, and medium. And yeah, you would essentially create different UTM links for each separate platform. So you would create, for example, let's say you want to do a Black Friday campaign. So you create a UTM link, you would call the campaign Black Friday, you'd have the medium as Facebook, one medium as Twitter, one as Instagram, and then you would say the source is promo ads, for example. And what that enables you to do is, you know, when you're running those campaigns, you can go back into your analytics and look specifically as to which campaign was performing better compared to the other ones. So maybe my Twitter was performing better than my Instagram. And that's, essentially, that's essentially one way to look at it in terms of how you can use UTMs.
Can you show us that, like how you would actually set that up using your builder, and then how you would use it in in Humblytics?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you have your website URL, you say humblytics.com, and the campaign is called NCN promo, for example. Medium, you'd say it's Facebook, and the source is paid ads. And you click on generate, copy that URL, and then you put that URL into your ad platform. So whether that's Meta, Twitter, TikTok, and that's the ad that's a link you would put in your ad that you want the traffic to go to. That link will then pass through to analytics, and you would able to see that. So for example, I ran a test campaign on Twitter, and I wanted to see how that traffic would perform. So I had a UTM campaign parameter called test campaign. I had a source, which was social X, that's what I called it. And I had a medium, which was called paid traffic. And I had someone else that ran a campaign for newsletters, so this was called the NCI campaign. The source was not in here. I don't know. Probably called this something else. And then no code insights. And then the medium was called the newsletter. So that's essentially how you would create a UTM campaign and see the data in analytics.
Great. So that can tell you how that traffic actually found you, essentially, like they clicked a link or something, and then that source information gets collected.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really great, and that's really good. I was recently set up a landing page for a client in their Webflow account, and they, when they asked me to set this up, it was because they're investing in this newsletter that goes out to their audience for a whole year,
right.
And they want to know at the end of the year whether that was actually worth them doing it. So we have a UTM code that basically highlights that particular link, and that's what we provided to the newsletter company or to the publisher so that they would put that on all their ads.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, really, really good.
I have a quick question about the upcoming Webflow app. I know I was looking through the tutorials for it, and I see like when you want to add specific tracking to clicks on the page, it's done through attributes. Is the on-page element split testing going to be like, are you going to use attributes for that approach as well, or is there kind of a different plan there altogether?
To be honest, I don't know if I have the answer to that because I'm still in the early stages and we're trying to figure out how to actually do that properly.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah, we may utilize attributes. A lot of it is, I haven't built a designer extension, so I don't think I can answer that for you. Sorry.
Gotcha. No worries. Excited.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see how you guys engineer it though.
Yeah. Well, keep me posted. we're trying to figure out ourselves.
Okay.
Maybe you should call Patrick.
Yeah.
So that actually brought back a question that I had, which So when you're saying you can add an attribute to a button that will then identify it, that's something you actually do in Webflow, and then Humblytics
Yeah.
basically takes that attribute you've added in Webflow and records that click.
Exactly. So you can see in here I have an attribute called Humblytics nav login, and then I have one called Hero Start Tracking live demo.
Right.
So I'm able to actually see that within the dashboard as well, just because I want to give it a unique name because there's multiple buttons. So within that, I can see exactly nav login. Last click was today at 1:07 a.m. and it's got 417 clicks so far. Pricing, nav features, these are all essentially, this is the actual URL, but then this is an attribute I've added as a value to it, so I can quickly differentiate what that would look like.
And what's the time period that we're looking at here? And can you adjust the time period like you can in Google Analytics?
Yeah, today, yesterday, 24 hours, last 7 days, 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have most of the time periods. In our new version of our app, we're going to have a lot more extensive custom dates as well. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let me stop that.
All right. And how, so you built this because you had so many clients that were using analytics and they wanted information and whatnot. How have clients responded to this system?
I mean, honestly, it was really started off solving our own problem. It's just that's something we had our clients asking for it. So the reception so far has been positive. We get a lot of positive feedback from freelancers and the agencies that use this for themselves and for their clients as well. We have such a diverse group. We have huge restaurant brands using it. We have a startup that launches satellites into space that uses it. We have some big chain restaurant brands and entertainment brands. It's been really interesting seeing the type of sites that are being that are using Humblytics, and the feedback as well has been tremendous so far. And our users have been great and so patient with us because our app has been so basic at this point, and we have so much more to show for us. So we're really excited to see how that turns out.
Right. And can you just tell us a little bit about the pricing?
Yeah. So for now, the pricing is free to get started, up to 1,000 views per month. And then we have plans from $9 to $19 and $49. On $9, you can get up to 10,000 views per month across all your sites in total aggregate, and then 100,000 and I can't remember, I think 500,000 plus. For the $49 plan, split testing starts on the $19 plan, and the pricing is going to change, especially for the free plan. We're going to maybe offer a free lifetime plan where up to a certain number of views you get for free, and after that you have to upgrade. But it's right now it's free to get started.
Great, excellent. Especially those of us that have smaller clients. So when you say it's at $19 across all your sites, so if you were hosting sites in your account for your clients, which some of us do, then we'd be able to use it on each of those sites?
It's 100,000 in aggregate. So if you have one site that's doing 100,000 views, or if you're doing 3 sites that are doing a split across 33, 33, 33, it's just we look at the total number of views across all sites.
But and do they have to be in the same workspace, or can like the client have their own and you install it on theirs?
We look at an account level. So when you create an account and install sites, we just look at that total number of that. So it doesn't, workspace or site doesn't matter. It's account level specific. Okay. But it's good feedback. We've actually gotten users ask us the differentiation between, is it one site or multiple sites? We got to be a little more clear on that one.
That's one of those things, right? It's like, if you build sites for clients and then hand them off and they're in their own workspaces, so essentially you can use it there, your $19 account with them
one
there,
thing we're
or
trying to solve for. Yeah, one thing we're trying to solve for is how do you pass on? I have clients right now. I freelance and build clients right now, and my client came to me and said, "Hey, we'd love to get Humblytics on here." and I already had an account, so I just added their site to my account. And I'm not gonna go and ask them, hey, can you pay me $9 for this analytics tool? Like, I'm technically paying out of pocket for. And that's the problem I'm trying to solve for myself, right? We're trying to figure out how do you pass on cost to your clients essentially, and almost offer it as a white billing service, or offers white billing, like white label billing. So that's something we've been thinking about, and we're probably going to solve for soon, where you can share reports and share dashboards with your clients. It's going to be fully white labeled to your brand, and you'll also be able to essentially have your own payment portal for them to access and pay directly to you instead of you paying out of your own pocket.
Yeah. And then you can set pricing for that with them?
I don't know.
That's the great thing about discovering a tool, working on a tool that's so early in its evolution, is that, for one thing, users
I'll take that as a feature wish list, and we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. We can have some influence over things, or at least ask the questions that get you thinking about stuff. But it also means that, it's not all as complete as it will be one day.
Yeah, still early. We have over 1,000 users, I think now, with 7,000 sites connected. So it's been really interesting to see kind of traction, and super grateful for all the feedback we've been getting so far.
I had another quick question.
Mhm.
So I just had a quick question about like the aggregate page views, right? So if I hit 10,000 on my starter plan, does it automatically, like in a month period, like say I'm day 15 and I hit my 10,000, does it stop tracking? Does it notify me? Does it push me up to the next tier? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, so right now what we do is we'll send you a limit. We'll send you an email when you're at the 75% limit, and then we'll send you another email when you've passed it. We'll have a small grace period, I think. I can't remember exactly. I think 3 to 5 days grace period. We'll give you the time to upgrade. If not, then we'll stop tracking.
And then it'll just reset the following month.
Reset the following month, exactly.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I'm just thinking like for like, bigger brands, if they have like a huge jump, but it's only gonna last like, 1 month, for example, and then it's gonna return back to kind of normal tracking. It'd be kind of just cool to see it through the event, and then let them choose if they want to continue with a more expensive tracking, or say okay, maybe 100,000 is enough of a sample size and they don't need to track 100,000 to 500,000, and then we just restart the next month.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to approach it. Like, I know there's other analytics providers that because they're paid right off the bat, they just bump you up to the next plan immediately. And I don't know how I personally feel about that, in terms of just like knowing that I'm paying for $9 and automatically now I'm paying $19, and I get it's kind of usage based. But for now, what we're really doing is just giving you some grace, like giving you a warning if you have that spike, then giving you some grace time if you want to actually upgrade or not. But there's always, I think, ways for us to improve how we handle that.
Love it. Awesome.
So then if you're then setting it up on another client site workspace, do you get to see what's happening on their site? Do you get to see like all of your different clients where you have it set up in your dashboard? Or is that going to be part of the white labeling one day down the road? Or do you have to
connected right now? It's connected
to your site?
Yeah, right now it's connected to your Webflow site, so it's whatever workspace you have access to, whatever sites are currently in your Webflow account. But that will change in the future, where we're gonna just create, you can create an account with your email and you can add any site if you want. That's whether part of your workspace or not, as long as the script is installed. Yeah. Cool.
Any other questions from anybody? Hi. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks
So,
so much, Amir. I appreciate it. Yeah.
yeah. So using Humblytics, is there any difference in load speed compared to Google Analytics? Do you notice
So
anything?
I have a simple answer to that, and the answer is yes. You're gonna likely to see um, it's a lot more lightweight script, and
Mhm.
when you're considering the scripting that you're using for Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, um, our benchmarks have shown that it is more lightweight, and you're gonna have a better performance compared to Google Analytics. Um, but I can't make that statement yet because I don't have I don't have the data to show you. Say, yeah, this is exactly it. We've just done it internally ourselves, and I'm actually working on the report right now to kind of show our benchmark across Google Analytics and other tools of how our scripting impacts page performance. But what I can say is, yes, it does. It does have a positive net impact on it instead of slowing it down.
Right. Excellent. Because I think that's one of the things that anything that you add, and that's where adding like a third-party A/B testing system is just adding one more, one more DNS location that has to be checked, loading, and all of that. So if all of that is in one place, then it's going to make it more efficient.
We're trying to make things less but better. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I loved it. I loved seeing the back end and just, how it's connected to the thing you're used to working in, right? That I know what my URLs look like. And I've done some Google Tag Management setup, and it's like, oh my God, what was it I need to do? Where do I find that URL? And there's so many options within that you get completely lost after a while. And then you don't know whether you're actually tracking what you wanted to be tracking or not. So I love it. It looks like a terrific tool for a Webflow developer for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, please feel free to check it out. If you have any questions, you can message me on Twitter, email me. I'm really easy to find, and I'm happy to help out in any way.
Excellent. Good. Well, we'll be
say one thing. This is interesting to me, but as a designer, primarily designer, less of a developer, or at least primarily a designer. I'll put it that way. Man, I would love, and this is, I get that this is not pure data, but I would love to have a layer on top of it that somehow, as a designer, I could say, oh, okay, this was favored. This B, the testing, this B was favored over the A. Why? What was it about it? Because was it aesthetic? Was it the layout? Was it what functionality was there? All those kinds of things. I would love to know that, but I think I'm barking up the wrong tree here with this, obviously. But that kind of thing, I love that the data comes through and there's something there. I want to make a connection between what I'm doing as a designer to that data. And I do that with discussions to the clients, but I don't do that with software. So maybe that's just not, what I'm saying is your product is really interesting and really good, Amir. I would love it if it did something that it's not intended to do.
I think Dale though too, like that kind of goes hand in hand with like having the ability to do the A/B testing is really great, but you also have to like, and it's easy to set like easy. Again, we're talking Jeremy, or it's like it's easy to set up, easy quotation mark, right? Like you still got to put in the work, but kind of the secret to A/B testing that no one really tells you, because they're like, oh, just create 2 versions of the page and then which one works better. And then now, Dale, you're talking about like, well, how do you know what part of it works better, right? The secret to A/B testing is really, really minute changes, and you test it, and then you do the next minute change. So if you change the copy, and you change the design, and you change A, B, C through Z, right? You're gonna have it, and then you're gonna be confused about which works better. But if you just change the headline, you test it out, you use the A/B testing tool, right? Kind of, and then now you can see the full report in Humblytics, and you can be like, okay, well, here's why. Here's this copy worked over this copy, and now combine it with the next thing, right? I think the more you the smaller you make those A/B changes, the more precise data you'll get. I think that's kind of what you're looking for.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Right.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
Amir, would there be the possibility at some point of being able to connect, like when you make a change, this is sort of like maybe further down the road, but when you make it to the URL or whatever, or that you could say, okay, on this date we made this change to this page, so that you'd have a way of tracking that information later. Otherwise, you just need to track that somewhere, right? You just, whether it's in a spreadsheet or something. Just wondering if there's a way within Humblytics to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think so. 2 parts. Going back to Dale and Patrick's comment. Yeah, I think the next layer for us is being able to infer what the data is actually telling you, and make some, and pull the insights and actually action on it as well. So, you've made these changes. Here's what it really means, and here's how you can improve it. And also, I think Patrick made a great point about A/B testing and the best way to approach it, which is exactly starting with very minute changes. Even when we were testing our homepage, we really only made 2 changes. One was the hero text and the call to action button at the top nav. And we were able to see how the hero had an impact on that top nav call to action that we were trying to push for. If you're making a lot of changes in the page, then yeah, it's really hard to see where that significance came from. The third part is, I think the management around A/B testing, which is, I think, a great idea to be able to have a log of, okay, like here's the changes I made on these dates, and here's how it's impacted. And yeah, I think that's a good input for us to consider as to, how you actually manage A/B tests, and having a tracker. So great idea.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Hey, that you can take that.
I'm loving all these ideas. White label services, unlimited pricing for customized pricing.
Really? So on pricing, is there an annual option, or will there be an annual option at some point?
I've always had trouble with commitment in life. So I'm kidding. It's monthly pricing for now, but I completely understand the subscription fatigue that some people have when they see that monthly billing. It's something we'll consider. Once I get past over my commitment fears.
Right. Well, and I think from a client perspective as well, right? Especially if I'm charging my client, and marking up on their Webflow plan, that I'm just going to charge them once a year. I don't do monthly pricing just because I don't want to deal with all those invoices coming in, especially the Webflow invoices. Love you guys, but I
feel you. I was just doing my taxes, and I was like, wow, I have a lot of Webflow invoices.
And you've got to go into your account and figure out which one it was, and it's not organized well, and it's kind of like So
I want you to make an app for that, right? Webflow invoices app.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
All right. Anybody else got any other questions? All right. Well, then I think at this point we can probably end the stream. We'll stay here. But before we end, This has been No Code North, and we've been meeting Amir from Humblytics, a wonderful, talented Canadian who is helping all of us understand what works and what on our Webflow sites, and helping our clients make decisions about what they do with their sites. And we'll put the link to Humblytics down below, and say thank you very much. We hold these workshops once, sometimes twice a month, depending, but come and visit us at nocodenorth.com. Find us on Twitter. We're on LinkedIn and all the other places as well, kind of. And but mostly we're a group of happy Canadians and friends. So whether you live in Canada or not, or if you're visiting much warmer places, we are always here Friday afternoons, either in our lodge or on YouTube. So check us out, and we'll see you around.